Have you ever had one of those days? The kind where you wake up and just ache, not from a hard day's work the day before or from a new exercise you tried. No, this is different. It's a deep, weary ache in your joints. It's that frustrating fog in your mind that makes finding the right word feel like searching for a needle in a haystack. It's that unpredictable stomach of yours that decides what you can and can't enjoy, seemingly on a whim. You go to the doctor, and you hear the same old things. It's just part of getting older. Try to eat a bit better. Maybe get a little more exercise. You follow the advice, you cut back on salt, you try to walk a bit more, you take your prescriptions on time every single day, and yet, that feeling remains. That quiet, creeping suspicion that your own body, the vessel that has carried you through a lifetime of experiences, is slowly starting to work against you. It's a terrifying thought, isn't it? The fear isn't just about the aches and pains, it's about what they represent. It's the fear of losing your independence, the fear of becoming a burden on the people you love, the fear of your world shrinking day by day until you're sitting on the sidelines of your own life, watching everyone else enjoy the moments you so desperately want to be a part of. What if I told you that many of those issues, the joint pain, the brain fog, the digestive trouble, even a weakened immune system, are not separate, isolated problems? What if I told you they all stem from one central, misunderstood source in your body? And that the solution isn't some expensive drug or a complicated restrictive diet, but rather the addition of one single category of food that most people are simply not eating. Stay with me, because in this video we are going to uncover that number one food. I'm going to explain why it is the master key to your health, how it turns back the clock on your body's control systems, and how you can start using it today to reclaim the vitality you deserve. This isn't about just living longer, it's about living better. I know these are big promises, and frankly, if you're feeling a little skeptical, I don't blame you. You've been promised silver bullets before, and you're wise enough to know that real solutions are rarely that simple. But what we're talking about today isn't magic, it's science. It's about understanding the foundational systems of your body and giving it exactly what it needs to begin healing itself from the inside out. We're going to peel back the layers on this topic together, step by step, so that it all makes perfect sense. But before we uncover these powerful truths, I need to know that you're truly with me on this journey. If you are serious about taking back control of your health and arming yourself with knowledge that can make a real difference, please take just a second to click that subscribe button and turn on the notifications. It's a small click, but it's a powerful commitment to yourself. And I want to hear from you directly. Please pause the video for a moment and go down to the comments. Let me know, what is the number one health concern on your mind right now? Your voice, let's see, your experiences, they are the heart of this community, and I read every single comment. So let's pull back the curtain. That central, misunderstood source of so many of our age-related frustrations I mentioned, it's your gut. Now, I'm not just talking about your stomach or the occasional indigestion. I'm talking about the entire incredible living world inside your digestive tract, something scientists call the gut microbiome. I want you to imagine something with me. Picture a magnificent, sprawling garden. In this garden, there are trillions of tiny workers. These are the bacteria and other microorganisms living in your intestines. When your garden is healthy, it's a vibrant, diverse ecosystem. The good workers, the beneficial bacteria, are plentiful. They diligently tend to everything. They break down your food into the vitamins and nutrients your body desperately needs. They strengthen the garden walls, your intestinal lining, keeping it secure. And, most importantly, they work hand in hand with your body's security force, your immune system, to keep out troublemakers. For much of our lives, this garden manages itself pretty well. But as we get older, things can start to change. A lifetime of stress, medications like antibiotics or anti-inflammatories, and even just subtle shifts in our diet can take their toll. The soil becomes depleted. The bad workers, the harmful bacteria, start to multiply and take over, like weeds choking out the beautiful flowers. This imbalance is a condition called dysbiosis, and it's where the trouble begins. Here's the part that is so often missed. The health of this inner garden directly impacts almost every other system in your body. Let's start with your brain. There is a literal physical connection between your gut and your brain, a superhighway of information called the gut-brain axis. When your gut is in turmoil, overrun by those weeds, it sends out stress signals. It can't produce enough of the good stuff like serotonin, the neurotransmitter that helps regulate your mood. Does that feeling of brain fog, anxiety, or low mood suddenly make a bit more sense? It's not just in your head. It's very likely starting in your gut. Then there's your immune system. Did you know that an astonishing 70% of your immune system is located right there in your gut? Think about that. The very headquarters for your body's defense department is stationed along the walls of your intestines. The good bacteria in your gut are constantly training your immune cells, teaching them how to spot the difference between a friend and a foe. When the bad bacteria take over, that communication system breaks down. The immune system becomes confused and overreactive. This leads to the most critical problem of all, a condition called leaky gut. Imagine the walls of your garden, your intestinal lining, which are normally strong and tight, begin to develop tiny cracks. Now, undigested food particles, tons amatas, and those bad bacteria can leak out of the gut and escape into your bloodstream, where they absolutely do not belong. When your immune system spots these invaders floating around your body, it does what it's designed to do. It attacks. It unleashes a massive body-wide inflammatory response. And this isn't the good kind of inflammation, like when you sprain your ankle and it swells up to heal. This is chronic, low-grade inflammation that simmers silently throughout your entire body, day in and day out. It's like having a constant state of emergency with the sirens blaring non-stop. This is the inflammation that makes your joints ache with arthritis. It's the inflammation that damages blood vessels and affects your heart. It's the inflammation that is linked to nearly every major age-related disease we fear. So, you see, you can be eating the healthiest salad in the world, but if your inner garden is in chaos, you're not absorbing its nutrients properly. And worse, your body might be in a constant state of fighting a hidden internal war. The first, most powerful step is to change our perspective. We must stop thinking of our gut as just a digestive tube and start seeing it as the living, breathing command center of our health that needs to be carefully and lovingly tended. So, if our gut is a garden that's been overrun by weeds and this chaos is fueling that fire of chronic inflammation, the logical question is, how do we start planting flowers again? How do we bring back the good workers? This brings us to the big reveal. The number one food category that holds the power to do this, the one most of us are simply not eating, is fermented foods. I'm talking about foods like real, tangy yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, and kombucha. These aren't new trendy health fads. They are ancient foods created by our ancestors out of necessity, long before refrigeration existed. Fermentation is a natural process where beneficial microorganisms, like bacteria and yeasts, begin to break down the sugars in food. In doing so, they transform the food, creating a wealth of compounds that are incredibly beneficial for our health. The most important of these are probiotics. You've probably heard that term. Probiotics are, quite simply, the good guys. They are living, beneficial bacteria that, when you consume them, take up residence in your gut and begin to restore order. They are the new expert gardeners we need to send into our overgrown garden. Now, you might be thinking, I've tried a probiotic supplement. I took a pill for a month and didn't notice much. And that's a common experience. Here is why fermented foods are profoundly different and far more powerful. A typical probiotic capsule might contain a few specific strains of bacteria, often in the billions. That sounds impressive. But imagine trying to reforest a vast, barren landscape by planting only one or two types of trees. You might get some growth, but you won't create a thriving, resilient, diverse ecosystem. A food like kefir, on the other hand, can contain dozens of different strains of beneficial bacteria and yeasts, a complex community that works together. This diversity is key. It creates a much more robust and adaptable gut environment. Furthermore, the process of fermentation creates something else called postbiotics. These are the beneficial byproducts created by the bacteria during fermentation. Think of them as the tools and fertilizers that good bacteria bring with them. These compounds, like butyrate, are a direct source of energy for the cells lining your colon. They actively help to repair those leaky gut cracks we talked about, tightening up the wall of your garden and putting out that inflammatory fire at its source. You don't get these powerful postbiotics from a simple pill. Let's put this into a real-life picture. Imagine you're starting your day. For years, maybe breakfast has been a piece of toast with jam and a cup of coffee. It's quick, it's easy. But from your gut's perspective, it's not getting much help. Now imagine instead you pour a small glass of plain, unsweetened kefir. Or maybe you blend it into a smoothie with a banana. It's a tiny change. It takes no extra time. But with that one small act, you are sending a rescue mission of trillions of diverse living allies down into your gut. You are actively choosing to seed your inner garden with life. You might not feel a dramatic change on day one, but over a few weeks, you might start to notice subtle shifts. Maybe that afternoon bloating you always get starts to ease up. Maybe your digestion feels a little more predictable and calm. You might even find your mind feels a little clearer, your mood a little brighter. This is the quiet work of restoration. These new workers are moving in, cleaning house, pushing out the inflammatory weeds, and beginning the slow, steady process of rebuilding the very foundation of your health. So, how do you start? The key is to start slow and low. Your gut isn't used to this influx of activity. A great place to begin is with a single tablespoon of plain, unsweetened kefir or live culture yogurt a day. Just one. See how you feel. After a week, you might increase it to 2 tablespoons, or try adding a forkful of unpasteurized sauerkraut. You'll find it in the refrigerated section of the grocery store, not the shelf-stable jars, as a side with your lunch or dinner. When you're shopping, look for the magic words on the label. Live in active cultures. Avoid products with a lot of added sugar, as sugar is what feeds the bad bacteria, the very weeds we're trying to get rid of. Okay, so we've made a brilliant strategic move. By introducing fermented foods, we've sent in an elite team of probiotic workers to begin the difficult job of reclaiming our overgrown and weed-choked inner garden. But I want you to imagine you've hired the best landscaping crew in the world. They show up, ready to work, with all their expertise and energy. But you've left them with no food, no water, not even a single tool to work with. How long do you think they'll last? How effective do you think they'll be? Not very. This is precisely what happens when we eat probiotics but neglect their essential partners. Prebiotics. Prebiotics are a special type of dietary fiber. They are the food for the good guys. Here's the incredible part. Your human body can't actually digest these fibers. They pass through your stomach and your small intestine completely untouched. But when they arrive in your large intestine, the main residential area for your gut microbiome, the party begins. Your beneficial bacteria, the probiotic workers we've just sent in, see this prebiotic fiber as a gourmet feast. They ferment it, consume it, and use its energy to thrive, multiply, and do their vital work. So, if probiotics are the seeds you plant in your garden, prebiotics are the rich, nutrient-dense fertilizer and sunshine that make them grow strong. Without the fertilizer, the seeds may sprout, but they will never flourish into a vibrant, resilient ecosystem. In fact, when your good bacteria feast on prebiotics, they produce more of those powerful postbiotic compounds we mentioned earlier, like butyrate. Butyrate is the superstar that literally feeds the cells of your colon wall, helping to seal a leaky gut, calm inflammation, and support a healthy immune response. So, more prebiotics means a better fed army, which means a stronger fortress wall and a calmer body. Let's be honest for a moment about how most of us eat. Think about a typical day's plate. Perhaps it's a bowl of cereal in the morning, a sandwich on white bread for lunch, and maybe some meat with mashed potatoes and a small portion of well-cooked green beans for dinner. It's not necessarily bad food, but from your gut's perspective, it's a barren wasteland. You're sending in those probiotic workers, but you're giving them nothing to eat. They starve. The weeds, the bad bacteria that thrive on sugar and processed foods, continue to dominate. Now, picture a different plate. Imagine your lunch is a big salad. Alongside the lettuce and tomatoes, you've added some crunchy raw jicama sticks. Or maybe for dinner, you've made a hearty soup that started with a base of sautéed onions and garlic, and you've served it with a side of steamed asparagus. That morning bowl of cereal is replaced with whole rolled oats, topped with a sliced banana that's still a little bit green at the tips. To your taste buds, these are just delicious additions. But to your gut microbiome, you have just delivered a 5-star, all-you-can-eat buffet. You can almost feel your inner army cheering. They are now fueled, energized, and ready to get to work rebuilding and defending your health. This is the symbiotic magic of combining probiotics and prebiotics. It's what nutritionists call synbiotics. You introduce the workers, and then you provide them with their favorite food. This is the 1-2 punch that truly transforms the health of your gut. So, what are these wonder foods? You're likely already eating some of them. Onions, garlic, and leeks are fantastic sources. So are asparagus and bananas, especially when they're not fully ripe. One of the best, but perhaps less common, sources is jicama, a crisp, slightly sweet root vegetable that's wonderful raw in salads or as crudités. Jerusalem artichokes, also called sunchokes, are another powerhouse, as is chicory root, which is often used in coffee alternatives. And good old-fashioned whole oats are a wonderfully accessible source. Now, a word of caution born from experience and empathy. If your gut has been out of balance for a while, you must introduce these prebiotic fibers slowly. Think of it like waking up muscles you haven't used in years. If you go too hard, too fast, you'll be sore. If you suddenly flood your system with prebiotic fiber, those good bacteria will have such a feast that the fermentation can cause some temporary gas and bloating. This isn't a bad sign. It's a sign that things are starting to work. But it can be uncomfortable. So start small. Add just a little bit of one new prebiotic food to your diet and see how you feel for a few days before adding more. A few slices of jicama, half a banana, 1 spear of asparagus. Be gentle with your body as it adapts. So we've brought in the workers with fermented foods, and we've given them their food with prebiotic fibers. The garden is now starting to truly flourish. The inflammation is calming down. And when this happens, something remarkable begins to occur. The benefits start to ripple outwards from your gut, reaching parts of your body you would never think are connected, like the very strength and resilience of your bones. For our entire lives, we've been told a very simple story about bone health. It goes like this. To have strong bones, you need calcium. So we diligently drink our milk, we eat our cheese, maybe we take a big calcium supplement every day. It seems so straightforward. But for so many people, especially as we age and the risk of osteoporosis and fractures becomes a real pressing fear, this strategy just isn't enough. We do everything we're told, yet our bone density still declines. It's a source of immense frustration and anxiety. The missing piece of this puzzle, the one that is almost never discussed in the doctor's office, lies right back in that inner garden we've been so carefully tending. Your ability to build and maintain strong bones is profoundly dependent on the health of your gut. Let's unravel this. First, and most simply, is the issue of absorption. You can consume all the calcium in the world, from food or from pills. But if your gut is inflamed and leaky, you simply cannot absorb it efficiently. The vitamins and minerals from your food, including critical bone builders like calcium, magnesium, and vitamin K, have to pass through the walls of your intestines to get into your bloodstream where they can be transported to your bones. When that intestinal wall is damaged and inflamed, when your garden wall is cracked and crumbling, that whole process is impaired. It's like trying to water your plants with a hose full of holes. Most of the life-giving water just leaks away before it can get to where it's needed most. You're swallowing the calcium, but your bones are still starving. But it goes even deeper than that. This is where it gets truly fascinating. Remember how we talked about your good gut bacteria feasting on prebiotic fibers? When they do this, they don't just produce postbiotics like butyrate that heal the gut wall. They also produce short-chain fatty acids that actively change the pH level in your colon, making it slightly more acidic. This subtle shift in acidity dramatically increases the bioavailability of minerals. It essentially unlocks the calcium and magnesium from your food, making them far easier for your body to absorb. So, a healthy gut doesn't just repair the hose. It makes the water itself wetter and more effective. Now, I want you to connect this science to a feeling. Think about the fear of a fall. It's a primal fear for many seniors. It's not just the pain of a potential fracture, but what it symbolizes: a sudden loss of independence, a long and difficult recovery, the possibility of moving out of your home. It's a shadow that can make you hesitant to take that long walk, to play with your grandkids on the floor, or to carry your own groceries. It makes your world smaller. Imagine knowing that with every spoonful of kefir and every serving of asparagus, you are not just settling your stomach, you are actively fortifying your skeleton. You are giving your body the fundamental tools it needs to absorb those bone-building minerals and defend against fragility. It shifts the entire dynamic from one of fear and prevention of a negative to one of positive, empowered action. You are not just avoiding a fall, you are building a stronger, more resilient you. This isn't just about bone density on a medical report. It's about the confidence to live your life fully without that shadow looming over you. This principle extends far beyond calcium. It applies to virtually every nutrient your body needs. Do you struggle with low energy or fatigue? It could be poor absorption of B vitamins or iron. Is your immune system always struggling? Perhaps it's a lack of zinc and selenium getting through. You might be eating a wonderfully nutritious diet, but if the gatekeeper, your gut, is compromised, your body remains in a state of hidden hunger. By focusing on healing your gut with a symbiotic approach, the powerful combination of probiotic fermented foods and prebiotic fibers, you are fundamentally changing the game. You are turning your digestive system from a damaged, inefficient barrier into a highly effective nutrient processing powerhouse. It's the ultimate work smarter, not harder approach to nutrition. You begin to extract more value, more strength, and more vitality from the very same food you're already eating. This is the path to ensuring that the goodness you put into your body actually reaches its destination, nourishing everything from your brain to your mood, and yes, the very bones that carry you through life. As you can see now, all of these seemingly separate threads and that stubborn ache in your joints, the fog in your mind, a struggling immune system, even the silent fragility of your bones, they all weave back to one single powerful origin point: the health of your gut. We started this journey by looking at our body's health as a collection of different problems to be solved. A little pill for this, a different exercise for that. But this approach of tending to your inner garden changes everything. It reframes the entire conversation. This is no longer about fighting a dozen different battles on a dozen different fronts. It's about nourishing one central system, one foundational headquarters, and allowing that renewed strength to ripple outwards, bringing balance and calm to your entire body. We talked about viewing your gut as a living ecosystem and how an imbalance can spark that smoldering fire of chronic inflammation. We revealed that the secret to extinguishing that fire isn't a drug, but the ancient wisdom of fermented foods, the probiotic heroes like kefir and sauerkraut that reseed your garden with life. Then we learned that those heroes need to eat, and that prebiotic fibers from foods like onions, asparagus, and jicama are the fuel that turns them into a powerful army. Finally, we saw how a healthy gut becomes the gateway for absorbing the very nutrients, like calcium, that build a strong and resilient body, giving you the confidence to live without fear. I know this is a lot of information, and it's easy to feel a little overwhelmed. But I want you to pause and appreciate the profound beauty of this approach. This is not another restrictive, complicated diet that tells you all the things you can't have. This is a philosophy of adding. It's about adding a spoonful of yogurt, adding a few slices of jicama, adding a forkful of sauerkraut. These are small, gentle, consistent acts of profound self-care. This is about taking back the reins. It's about understanding the why behind how your body works and using that knowledge to become an active partner in your own health. The power to heal, to feel better, to think more clearly, and to move more freely is not locked away in a pharmacy. It is waiting for you in your own kitchen. It starts with the simple, empowering choice to tend to your inner garden today. I truly hope this has been valuable for you. If this conversation opened your eyes in any way or gave you a feeling of hope, please do me a favor and hit that like button. It's a small click for you, but it signals to YouTube that this information is important, and it helps us reach so many more people who need to hear this message. And if you haven't already, please subscribe so you never miss our next deep dive. We are building a community here, a place dedicated to aging with strength, dignity, and a whole lot of knowledge. Thank you so much for your time and your trust today. Remember to be patient and kind with your body as you start this journey. Small steps, taken consistently, lead to remarkable change. Stay strong, stay informed, and we'll see you in the next video.